Russian envoy claims West is determined to destroy Russia.
Here's a summary of the article.
United Nations. A week before the anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Kremlin's UN ambassador claimed that the West is driven by its determination to destroy Russia and declared, "We had no choice other than to defend our country, defend it from you, to defend our identity and our future." Western ambassadors shot back, accusing Russia of using a Security Council meeting it called on lessons learned from the failure to resolve the conflict between Ukraine and Russian-backed separatists that began in 2014 to justify what France's UN ambassador Nicolas de Rivière called the unjustifiable Russia's invasion of its smaller neighbor on February 24, 2022. U.S. Deputy Ambassador Richard Mills accused Russia of failing to implement a single commitment it made in the Minsk agreements while the other signatories, France, Germany, Ukraine and the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, sought to implement them in good faith. Advertisement. De Rivière recalled that exactly a year ago, on February 17, 2022, Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Vershinin reaffirmed to the Council that the Minsk agreements were the only international legal basis to resolve the conflict in Ukraine, and that rumors of Russian military intervention were unfounded and stemmed from Western paranoia. Nebenzia accused the West of deep Russophobia and a determination to destroy my country, using others if possible. And he claimed it is not interested in building a European and Euro-Atlantic security system together with Russia, because, for you such a system can only be aimed against Russia. Ukraine's UN ambassador Sergei Kyslytsya accused Russia of violating the Minsk agreements, citing as an example the Minsk Memorandum of September 19, 2014, ordering all military, militias and mercenaries to leave Ukraine that was never implemented. Advertisement. Ukraine urges healthy forces in Russia, if there are any, to come to their senses and force Putin to implement the demands of the UN General Assembly to immediately cease the use of force and to withdraw Russian military forces from Ukraine, Kyslytsya said.
This post received a score of 6,200, with an upvote ratio of 93%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
We had no choice but to defend ourselves by invading a neighboring country and committing genocide.
And refusing to leave.
Then doxing, harassing and spreading lies about you on the internet.
Putin is a threat to the Russian people more than the entire West itself.
Russia is like a guy walking around randomly beating up people and claims the police ruined his life when he gets put in prison.
I didn't give a shit about Russia before the war beyond being critical of how dependent Germany was on their gas. Now I wouldn't mind seeing their military utterly decimated and rendered inert.
Now, just from my visit to St. Petersburg in 2015 and my latest in 2019, the overall demeanor of people in the service industry had gone from neutral-friendly to entitled and hostile. It's sad, really. Also, I can't picture any scenarios where Russia is even remotely close to any sort of victory. The war might rage for years and lead to a catastrophic loss of young people through deaths and brain drain. Many respected Russian scholars considers it inevitable, and I believe the Russian Federation will fail within this decade. Russia gets reduced to a nation surrounding the Moscow-St. Petersburg axis, and the rest will be divided into 5 to 7 new nations roughly following the current internal state borders. That or it's all-out nuclear war where everyone loses. While all this is basically anecdotal guesswork, but I'm 100% certain the probability that Russia manages to end up in a position their propaganda apparatus manages to sell as a victory to the Russian population is exactly zero.
There was a good post reply on these threads roughly a few days ago that explained it well. Worth a read if you can find it. The gist was projection. They believe the West being friendly is a guise to take over Russia because it's what they would do if in that situation. Due to their history, many of them culturally can't understand peaceful coexistence without conquest.
It's a fundamental difference in government. So far most countries that can become democratic flourish and pounce on it. So authoritarian governments have to pit them as evil and do everything they can to suppress it. It's been going on since before the SSR. China does the same thing. North Korea, etc.
Could you imagine if Russia would have been run like a country in the Nordics? It would be a superpower with a real chance to set the tone on the world stage for years.
Russia is destroying itself. It doesn't need the West for that. Putin and his henchmen can do it alone. Everything that emanates from the Kremlin is destruction, whether in other countries or in your own country and society.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.